Shabbat Shalom, and welcome to those of you who braved the raindrops and came to be here in person, and those others who will drip in like the raindrops into the sanctuary tonight, as well as those of you who are watching through the blessing of technology. We have somebody who's going to help us with the opening song.
Can you tell your name?
I'm Talia.
Talia, great to see you on the bima. So our opening song is Amme.
Amme, Amme,
Am Yisrael Chai, Amen. Amen. Am Yisrael Chai, Amen. Amen. Am Yisrael Chai, Amen. Amen. Am Yisrael Chai. Oh, Davinu Chai. Oh, Davinu Chai. Oh, Davinu Chai. Oh, Davinu Chai. Amen. Amen. Am Yisrael Chai. Amen. Amen. Am Yisrael Chai.
And we continue with the lighting of our Shabbat candles and the blessing of our Kiddush, our wine, and we invite Lori and Wayne Wolfson to come to the bima to lead us in these blessings.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahalak ner shel Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'rei b'ri hagaf.
Amen.
L'chaim.
I left a little.
Thank you. As we turn now to page 2, welcoming in Shabbat with Lecha Dodi.
Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabla. Shamar v'zachor b'ribor echad, Hishmianu elam yuchad, Adonai echad u'shemo echad, l'shem u'tiferet v'lichila. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabla. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, ki mekora beracha, merosh mikedem nasucha, sov maaseh b'machshavat kila. Lecha dodi likrat kala. Kiva ori kumi ori, uri uri shirta beri, kivod Adonai alayik nikla. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha dodi likrat kala, pnei בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובשולה, תוך אמוני עם סגולה. בואי כלה, בואי כלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה, לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
And we remain standing as we have just welcomed in the Shabbat bride. We take a moment to welcome one another as we turn to somebody, perhaps not the person next to you if you already know that person, but maybe somebody in front of you, behind you, across the way. Let us introduce ourselves to one another and greet one another. Shabbat Shalom. As we continue on page 3 with Baruch Hu.
Lai, 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 Barechu et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamivorach leolam vaed. Baruch Adonai hamivorach leolam vaed. Yai lai 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 lai, yai lai 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 lai. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai. Shem kevod, malchuto, leolam, leolam vaed.
May be seated.
And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, and with all thy might. And all these words And thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children. And thou shalt speak of them when thou sittest in thy house, when thou walkest by the way, and when thou risest up, and when thou liest down, and when thou liest down. And thou shalt bind them for a sign upon thy hand, and they shall be for frontlets between thine eyes, and thou shalt write them on the doorposts of thy house, and upon thy gates, and upon thy gates, that he may remember and do all of my commandments, and be holy unto your God, unto your God, unto your God.
When our ancestors escaped Pharaoh's grip and reached the other side of the sea, free, they sang with joy this song.
Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nedar b'kodesh, norati lo dosei pele, norati lo dosei pele. Malikutecha ra'uvanecha, bokeo yom lifnei Moshe u'Miriam, ze Elianu ve'amru, ze Elianu ve'amru, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai imloch le'olam va'ed.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Adonai, help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, ve'al kol amo Yisrael, ve'al Yerushalayim.
Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. Vishamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. La'asot et ha-Shabbat ledorotam berit olam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam. Beini uvein b'nei Yisrael oti leolam. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et haaretz. Ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et ha-shamayim ve'et haaretz. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. Veshamru v'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat Shabbat. השביעי שבת וינפש, ביום השביעי שבת וינפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת שבת, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת שבת.
We rise for tefillah.
Adonai sifatai tiftach ufi agite ilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol HaGibor HaNorah, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'konei HaKol, V'zocher Chastei Avot Be'imahot, U'mevii Gula Livnei Bneihem, Leman Shemo Be'ahava, Melech Ozer U'Moshia U'Magen, Baruch atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Be'ezrat Sarah. Atah Gibor Le'olam Adonai, Mechaya Kol atah Rav Le'Hoshia, Morid atah, Mechalkel Chaim B'Chesed, Mechaye HaKol Berachamim Rabim, Somek Noflim V'Rofei Cholim, Umatir Asurim, Umekaye Memunato, Lishenei Afar, Mikamocha Bal Gevurot, Umito Melach, Melech Meimit Umechaye, Umatzmiach Yeshua, B'ne'emanatal HaChayot HaKol, Baruch atah Adonai, Mechaye HaKol.
May these hours of rest and renewal open our hearts to joy and our minds to truth. May all who struggle find rest on this day. May all who suffer find solace. May all who hurt find healing on this day. May all who despair find purpose. May all who hunger find fulfillment on this day. And may this day fulfill its promise. Baruch atah Adonai, Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha, Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon, v'chol hashalom. V'tov b'necha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol eit uv'chol shah b'shlomecha. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael amcha, tasim leolam.
As we pray for peace upon us and upon all the world, we also pray for peace in the way of healing of body and spirit, that our bodies can be at peace. And so I share with you the following names of people in our extended Adith Emmanuel family who are in need. of healing. If you're watching through the blessing of technology and want to add the names of those people you're thinking of at this time, feel free to do so. I'll call for names in the sanctuary following this list. Ron Fisher, Jeff Schaefer, Lulu Rivuela, Marion Gwartz, Aaron Tepper, Lily Tepper, William Broderick, Joan Major, Karen Bowen, Louis Alahut, Mary Parker, Barbara Cohn, Tricia Tepper, Jordan Maverick Steinberg, Carol Schaefer, Harriet Rosenberg, Hudson Hodge, Carrie Basin, Dr. Jerry Herman, Todd Pollard, Murray Kemmerman, Mary Mednitsky, Jocelyn Jackson, Jen Jones, Shirley Friedlander, Michael Infante, Gary Garnick, Sarah Oken, Ann Marsden, Jerry Dreskin, Lynn Romsberg, Rick Ulrich, Ileana Cohn, and others whose names we should mention aloud at this time. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim.
Misheberach Avotenu Mekor Avraham Limotenu. May the source of strength who bless the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. Misheberach Imotenu Mekor Avraham. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen.
We continue our prayer silently.
Yuli ratzonim refi, vegion libi lifanecha. Adonai tzuri vegoali, Adonai tzuri vegoali. Repeat after me. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of my heart together be acceptable to you, Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Yuli ratzonim refi, vegion libi lifanecha. Adonai tzuri vegoali,
Shabbat Shalom. So after this Shabbat, we are at the beginning of the end. That is of the Torah. So for those of you who are following along from week to week, this Shabbat we read the last Torah portion in the book of Numbers. And we're just a page turn away, or if you're actually in the Torah scroll, 4 blank spaces from the book of Deuteronomy, which is the last book in the Torah. Therefore, we are at the beginning of the end. As I had mentioned in my article, my July-August bulletin article, when we conclude a book in our Torah, it's customary to recite the words chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek, which means be strong, and let us strengthen one another. 3 times we repeat this message of strength. The root is chet zayin kuf, chazak, strength, strong. And when you do something 3 times in Judaism, it shows intention. So once could be an accident, twice could be a coincidence, 3 times you're showing intention. So what might be the meaning of this repetition? Well, one interpretation is that this cry of chazak, chazak, v'nitchazek, with 3 chazaks, if you will, links us to 3 eras, 3 periods in time: the past, the present, and the future. The first chazak symbolizes the past. Our past readings in the book of Numbers brings us to the end of the story of the Israelites. We've read through this book, which in English we call Numbers, because of all the statistics at the beginning of the book, which give us the count as to how strong the Israelite army is in its numbers. And in Hebrew, we call this book Bamidbar, meaning in the wilderness. And our past readings in Bamidbar tell of the Israelites' wanderings in the wilderness and their struggles therein. This first statement of chazak, be strong, reminds us of the strength the Israelites needed to endure the harsh elements of the wilderness and bear the mental challenges of going through Bamidbar, the wilderness. The second chazak is present. The present includes the events that take place in this week's double Torah portion, Matot Masa'eh. And at this juncture of the Torah story, the Israelites conquer the Midianites. And they're at the plains of Moab, the border of what today we would call the country of Jordan and Israel, and they're ready to enter the land of Canaan, that promised land. This second statement of chazak, be strong, charges the Israelites to be strong at this very exciting moment in their travels Bamidbar, in the wilderness, as they prepare to enter the promised land. And then there's the third chazak, and this represents the future. The future for the Israelites, some of us know because we've read the Torah. And that future will be what we read about in Deuteronomy, which is ironically the second telling. It's sort of a recap of the earlier story. But there's a spoiler alert for those of you who have not yet read the end of the Torah or don't know what happens. Moses dies, and it will be Joshua who leads the Israelites into the promised land. This third statement of v'nitchazek urges the Israelites to strengthen one another as they're about to cross into the land of Israel, which in and of itself is a scary thing, but also to strive for that strength of survival and endurance as they cross into the new land. Not only that 10 of the 12 scouts said was a scary place, but they're now crossing into this land without their leader that they've had for so long, without Moses, whom they've known well for all those years. This is one interpretation, mine, of how chazak v'nitchazek might reflect on these moments of our Torah, the past, the present, and the future, right now at this juncture between Numbers and Deuteronomy. which on this Shabbat puts us at the beginning of the end of the Torah. And chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek are the words we recite, yes, when we conclude one book in the Torah and begin another. It's the charge we give when we're making a transition from the past through the present into the future. And we can also use these words for ourselves whenever we're going through some kind of transition. I'm thinking for myself this week is a bit of a chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek. Earlier this week, I was in Illinois, moving out all of the possessions of our home. And next week, when the moving truck makes it to Mount Laurel, it will be the time to move those belongings into my new home. And I'm thinking, I have the chills now as I say this, how the Torah can be so timely in our lives. Chazak, chazak, v'nit chazek is really speaking to me. And not just to me personally, I'm thinking about it for Adith Emanuel as well. This is our transition time as I'm coming in and learning and what we've had in the past, what we have now, and what we'll have in the future. And as I'm thinking of that first chazak in the past, I went and I reread some of the history about Adith Emanuel. And so I'd just like to share a few highlights with you. It was 63 years ago this month, July 16, 1959, that Temple Emmanuel of Willingboro received our charter from the state of New Jersey. And it was 58 years ago, in October of 1964, that the building was dedicated on John F. Kennedy Way, and Rabbi Levine was installed as our first permanent rabbi. And then a different kind of, this is all still part of our past and yet a transition, happened about 30 years after that, in which the name changed. It wasn't Temple anymore. It wasn't Temple Emmanuel, but rather Adith, or in Hebrew, Adat Emmanuel, so that the emphasis would be on the people. And someone was sharing with me, pointed out how the words above the ark say, "V'asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham." That quote comes from the Torah, in which God says, "Build for me a sanctuary, and I shall dwell among them." That God is with us, and God is dwelling among the people, not in a building or a structure. And so that was between the years of 1993 and 1996 that our name had this change, shifting and focusing on the people. 25 years ago, next month, August 24th, we moved into our new home here in Mount Laurel, and mezuzot were affixed to the doors. And then in September 19, 1997, there was an official building dedication. I'm curious, how many people in this sanctuary right here remember the building and the moving into this home? Just so I have an idea of. So there's quite a few people. If you're watching through technology and you want to write in the chat, I remember that, that would be great. And so we're celebrating the strengths of our past. And it's important to mark those anniversaries and remind us of our strengths as we move also into the present. But I would love for us, because something that I've been doing during the summer is giving people an opportunity to share stories with one another. I'm guessing many of you here have been part of the past much longer than I have. So if you've been here as part of the congregation more than 4 weeks or 5 Shabbatot, then you have something to share. And if you haven't, then you can listen to somebody else. So let's turn to one another and share something, an historical event, a story that you remember about Adith Emanuel, or maybe it was Temple Emmanuel that we can share with one another. So let's just turn to one another now, small conversations, and then share with the larger group. some great stories. A memory of marching the Torah scrolls. So when the building was being moved from Willingboro to Mount Laurel and crossing over the water, like, right, through freedom. Got a story of a snake on the bema. That's a memorable one, right? What else? The night of the plagues. Needing to rescue the hawk. I'm only repeating it for those who are watching through technology. And then the frogs came into the parking lot. Not really. Family services. First, family services. Michael, what did you say? Oh, the Simchat Torah. We're rolling out the Torah scroll, and the first time seeing that, right? The whole Torah scroll being rolled out. That's it. Or around the sanctuary space. Yeah, that's a great memory. So the secret to that is you need the people present to do that. So if you want that to happen again, you have to call a lot more people than are in here physically. And that might be a challenge while we're still wearing masks and people are still joining us remotely. So those are some nice stories. And please continue to tell me more of this, because this is our history. This is the stuff that gives us strength, right? That leads us to this present moment. And this second chazak is the present. It's our observance of Shabbat. As Israeli secular writer Ahad Ha'am wrote, more than Jews have kept Shabbat, Shabbat has kept the Jews. So as long as we have Shabbat, it's keeping us. In case Jews are not always keeping Shabbat. And so the strength we exhibit now is this Jewish congregation observing Shabbat, whether we're present here or we're watching remotely, as we pray and sing and tell stories and connect with one another and connect with our temple family. As our tagline says, where community becomes family. And the third, V'nit Chazek, that's our future. In recent meet and greet the rabbi gatherings, I've invited people to share their skills and hobbies, which is essentially their strengths. These are the strengths of our members. The rich resources that we have that we can tap as we create the next book of Adith Emmanuel. When we finish one book of the Torah, we start another. And as I mentioned in the article, so too did we finish a book in the life of our temple family, and we start another. And it will be the strengths of the members of our Adith family that create a strong future. So together on this eve of the last Torah portion in the book of Numbers, let us together recite Chazak, Chazak, V'nit Chazek. Be strong, and let us strengthen one another. Shabbat Shalom. As we turn now in our Kabbalat Shabbat to page 9. Page 9, we rise as we are able for Aleinu.
Glory
You may be seated. As we turn our thoughts and prayers to those who are no longer with us, we think of people who have died most recently during this period of Shiva and Shloshim, as well as those who died at the season in years past whose yahrzeits we observe. We think of Rick Fonero, husband of Laura Otterberg, Marjorie Spindell, aunt of Doug Richter. And on their yahrzeits, we remember Hannah Adler, Sam Davis, Shirley Edelman, Eileen Goldstein, Dora Juris, Lillian Lieberman, Robert Mendelson, Philip Mendelson, Frank Orlando, David Reefer, Richard Safferstein, Samuel Seidel, Danette Schur, Harvey Srolovitz, Beatrice Steinberg, Ray Uberman, Max Zilberstein. And if there's a name that you wanted to be recited aloud that has not been recited yet, please feel free to stand and share that name.
Stan Lynn.
So I invite those who are in the period of Shiva this first week to rise. Those who are in the period of Shloshim, first 30 days, to stand. Or rise if you're observing a yahrzeit on the Shabbat or are in the period first year of mourning. If you are watching through the blessing of technology and would like to add the name of your loved one, if it has not been recited this night, please do so now. And we all rise now as one congregation in comfort and support as we turn on page 10 to words of the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, v'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayei chon u'vyomei chon, u'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv v'yimru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam omel maya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'riachu, Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tush b'chata v'nechamata, ta'amiram bi'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved. And let us say, Amen. It's my pleasure to invite Diane Singer to the bima to share with us some announcements.
Shabbat Shalom. So the air conditioner is working. Okay, all right. Thank you, Rabbi Memes Fowler, Cantor Sandy, for leading us tonight in our service. Thank you to Lori and Wayne for leading us in tonight's blessings. Thank you to Fran and Karen for greeting, and Janice for setting up Oneg. And as always, a special thank you to all of you for joining us this evening. Please join us tomorrow morning at 8:45 for Torah Talk and Bagels, followed by our Simply Shabbat morning service at 10 a.m. It's not too late to join us tomorrow evening for Havdalah in the Park, an event for all ages located at the large pavilion, the one near the bathrooms and the lake, okay, at Laurel Acres Park on Church Street in Mount Laurel. Starting at 5:30, bring your snacks, dinner, beverages. Addith is supplying dessert. It's Havdalah with a twist. Get it? Twist. Okay, whatever. Lots of song, fun, and bonding with your fellow congregants. Also, please join us next Friday, August 5th, for our summer open house Shabbat. Bring your family, friends, and any prospective members. The evening will start with the Tat Shabbat. We're having tours of Addith, then there's Shabbat services, and of course, you know me, Mr. Softy's coming. Sisterhood's annual rummage sale is this Sunday, July 31st. Stop by starting at 9, Janice, 9. Shop till you drop, great bargains, or come help. I think Janice could use some extra help. And Monday, August 1st is the last day for ordering honey for Rosh Hashanah to avoid the shipping fees. You can still order it, but if you don't want to pay the shipping fees, do it this weekend. And hot off the press, I mean like today, just found out that our own Harry Kushner is being honored at the Phillies game on Saturday evening, August 27th. Harry will be changing the third base bag to honor his military service. Is that at the 7th inning stretch?
But not if it's the,
I don't know, when do they do that? 5th inning? All right, okay. Anyway, Men's Club has 25 tickets available to attend the game. Please contact Larry Foster if you're interested in attending. Tickets cost $34 and they are going fast, okay? Please join us for tonight's oneg in the lobby. Hopefully you'll stay for a treat, mingle with your fellow congregants, and chat with Rabbi Memes Fuller. And tonight's thought actually should just be the sermon, but I actually wrote something, so I'll say it. Please remember, a person's greatest emotional need is to feel appreciated. Thank you, and Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom. And so we also appreciate Talia leading us in our opening song. What is our closing song going to be?
Our closing song is going to be Hevenu Shalom Aleichem. Hevenu Shalom Aleichem. Hevenu Shalom Aleichem. Hevenu Shalom Aleichem. Hevenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem. Hevenu Shalom Aleichem. Hevenu Shalom Aleichem. Hevenu Shalom Aleichem. Hevenu Shalom, Shalom, Shalom Aleichem.
Please join me in the Motzi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem min haaretz, b'tei avon, and Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Oh, you're remembering to get the holly. Oh, so chilly. But air conditioning is working. Shabbat Shalom.
Thought about what you're going to talk about. I would have like squeezed in a makom shali b'yohev because we were in here.
Oh, but you know what? We did not connect on that. I think that's nice that you would tell me. So I'll share it with her, but the Azuri clap is like this. Somebody's starting to hear you clap that as opposed to just fun. Yeah, it is fun.
I've never seen it that
Just being silly somebody, and now, and you know, of course, it caught on. It's one of those. Hi, I'm gonna leave this here and see if I remember that I left it here.